He flipped a blue seat red. Steve Chan is the new Republican state senator from Brooklyn. So my first question has to be, when you go to Albany, you're going to be in the minority with a huge progressive majority of Democrats in the Senate. How are you going to get anything done?
That's a very good question, Marcia. So I have to find allies. I have to work with my colleagues, my new colleagues up in the state Senate. I have to find common ground where both the Democrats and the Republicans stand together. Right now in my district, there are a couple of Democrat politicians who we actually see eye to eye on common sense issues. I have to find those people that I can work with. I have to use some leverage, whatever leverage I can find, and hopefully we'll get our voices heard, and we'll get some.
You sound so internally optimistic.
Yes.
At a place in Albany which is extremely partisan. I mean, do you think that it's going to be difficult to get these Democratic voices to join with you?
It'll be difficult, but as we can see, South Brooklyn turned red. The voice of the people, they want their voices heard. So I want to convince some of these more common sense centric Democrats that, you know, it's time to listen to the people and see what they want and see what they're not happy with. Maybe we can come to some kind of compromise and let's get some things done. Let's change some of the things that has changed over the years. Let's bring it back to the way it was.
So look, you were a police officer for 27 years, and you just told me you loved being a police officer. And one of the things you campaigned on and you talked about was bail reform, and you feel that changes have to be made to keep people locked up. How could you propose to get these very partisan Democrats to go along with your ideas? And what are your ideas? Well,
we definitely can't use a wrecking ball and just destroy bail reform overnight. This is not going to happen that way. It has to be surgically done. Each aspect of the bail reform, we have to re-examine them and see what's not working. New Jersey has the same basic bail reform with one very important difference.
What is that?
The difference is the dangerousness clause in their bail reform, where a judge actually has the discretion to be able to keep somebody in jail.
If they're dangerous.
If they're dangerous. So let's start with that. I would like to be able to give our judges back some discretion, and our police officers too. I would like to restore their qualified immunity so that they're not afraid to do their jobs because of liability.
So you have a sense that police on the street now, because of all the changes that have come through Albany, have found it difficult to do their job because they're afraid, like, oh, you could be charged with a chokehold or you could be charged with something else. And so you think that that's stopping them from doing their jobs?
Absolutely. I personally ran around the streets vigorously for half my career as an NYPD police officer and police sergeant and undercover investigator. There's a certain amount of limitations to what you can and cannot do. And right now, our cops, their hands are tied, and they're afraid to lose their homes and their livelihood, and they're worried about their families. It's better not to, perhaps I better not write this car in front of me a ticket. I better not stop him for reckless driving because I don't know what I'm going to get myself into. You know, when you restrict police officers like that, it's very difficult for them to do their jobs.
So what kind of changes would you like to see in terms of, law enforcement and rules governing what police are allowed to do?
Well, the public opinion is the very, very important thing. I want the public to support our police officers. We need to be friends with our police officers, not enemy. There's a lot of people preaching, cops are bad. I'm a police officer for 27 years. I made hundreds of arrests, and I have a spotless CCRB record. I only had one, and I was accused of cursing at somebody. And maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but if that's all I got for 27 years, I'm doing a lot of things correctly. So I want the public to understand our police. I want our public to be friends with the police. And I need to give them back their qualified immunity. I need to reach out to police officers. Don't be afraid to do your jobs. We need you to help us have a better quality of life. Don't be afraid to lock this guy up for stealing a pair of slippers. And in fact, we need to keep that guy in jail for a couple of days. I did that. You know, when I locked up somebody for stealing a tube of toothpaste, he stayed in jail for 2 days. He ate bologna sandwiches for 2 days, and he stayed in a cell with 20, 30 other guys in the same situation.
You think that taught him a lesson?
It not only taught him a lesson, but for that time that they're in jail, they're not out stealing.
A good point. So you ran as a Republican. I wonder if you could tell me what you think that the people who were MAGA Republicans did right and what you didn't like about it.
What they did right was they reached out to America. They wear the same shoes. We all wear the same shoes. We all go to work. We're all trying to raise a family. We want to be able to make a living and not stress about living paycheck to paycheck. We don't want to see our tax dollars being spent on nonsense, a lot of wasteful spending. We don't want to hear somebody tell us how we're going to charge you $9 on congestion pricing, but yet we're putting more money into your pocket. That's just not the case. It's just smoking. It's a dog and pony show, smoke and mirrors.
So what do you think that the MAGA profession standards were bad that you didn't really want to embrace? Or maybe there's nothing, I don't know.
There's not a lot of bad things about it. You know, I can understand, you know, our president, our newly elected president, you know, maybe a little crass at times, but his ideology, you know, I can definitely go with. You know, why wouldn't we want controlled spending, fiscal responsibility? Why wouldn't we want secure borders? Why are we burdening our citizens with other people's problems?
So as a law enforcement person, I wonder how you feel about the possibility that the president could pardon some of the people who were involved in the January 6th demonstration at the Capitol. What's your opinion on that? Pardon, no pardon?
I believe they should be pardoned. You know, I don't see a resurgence or insurgents. I'm sorry. I don't see a revolution. These people were, to me, they were patriots.
Even though they attacked the Capitol and you know, people were injured?
People were injured. That's unfortunate. So should we blanket pardon everybody? Perhaps not. You know, hold the ones that injured people responsible, maybe charge them with something.
So we have only a few minutes left. I wonder how you feel about congestion pricing. We have like 30 seconds left.
So like I was saying, congestion pricing, I totally disagree with. We need to manage the MTA a little bit better. Let's start with charging, making everybody pay their fair share of their fare. To make everybody else pay $9, and you're telling us that you're putting money into our pockets. That's just an outright lie.
Okay, Steve Chan, we're going to have to leave it right there for now, but we're going to be right back. We're back with the new Republican State Senator from Brooklyn, Steve Chan. So we would like to have people have the opportunity to get to know you a little bit. So maybe you could tell me, are you a morning person or a night owl?
I'm absolutely a morning person. I've had a lifelong battle with insomnia. So my sleeping hour is very regular. I get up at 5:30 every morning,
Wow.
whether if I'm working or not.
So were you a good student?
I would like to say that I am a good student. That wasn't afforded the same kind of opportunities that our children are afforded now. I'm just a son of poor immigrants.
What was your favorite subject? What was your worst subject?
I think my favorite subject would have to be, at that time, it was probably English, because I was fascinated by Shakespeare and the different
Really?
interpretations, and I was never too good at it, but
you liked it.
I loved it.
So what was your worst subject?
My worst subject is probably calculus.
Yeah, me too. That was really hard for me too. So is New York City a good place to raise a family? I know you have 2 daughters.
I would say it was a great place to raise a family. I love New York. I love Brooklyn, the neighborhoods that I grew up in. It was a fantastic place where we can go shopping and enjoy the day. The kids can play on the sidewalk, but that's not the case anymore. My kids can't play on the sidewalk because there's e-bikes flying down every which way.
But what are you going to do about that?
Oh, again, this goes back to our cooperation with the police department. We have to enable our cops to do their jobs. There's nothing they would love to do more. I know me as a cop, there was nothing I like to do more than make the streets safe for people so that they're happy. And that's what I did.
And safe for your kids as well.
Correct.
So people don't know this about you, but you were a former Marine. What inspired you to join the Marines?
That's very simple. I loved America.
Okay, that's a good answer. You also switched from being a Democrat to a Republican. Why?
I did, because 20 years ago, the Democratic Party was a very, very different party. Today, I would like to use the phrase hijacked, and it has been hijacked by the progressives, and they're not, they have great ideology, but it just doesn't match up to reality.
You know, I've often wondered about the number of progressives that get elected in New York, because if you take a look at how many people vote, not that many people vote. So I actually wonder whether these progressives who are elected, especially in Albany, actually represent the districts and the views of the districts that they were elected to represent.
Speaking for my district, I would say absolutely not, because I spent a lot of time on the ground. I grew up in the neighborhood. I know the neighbors, I know the businesses, I know the cops, and everybody's sentiments are the same corner to corner in my district. They're not progressives.
So one of the things that President-elect Trump has promised or said he would do would be to deport illegal immigrants. I wonder what your views are on the undocumented immigrants who have lived in this country for a long time, who may not have their green cards yet, whatever. What should be done about them?
So everyone knows that I'm an immigrant myself. I came here at the age of 11. My wife is an immigrant. She has a brother and 2 sisters waiting 14 years for an immigration visa.
Wow.
So and she's from Malaysia. If she wanted to be like everybody else, she would just tell her siblings to go to Mexico and walk across the border and skip the line. That's not how we do things here in America. There are laws, there are existing laws, and we follow it. And I can say that my brother and sister-in-laws, when they come over here, they got it. They'll pull their own weight. They don't need handouts. They don't need shelters. They don't need the $1,000 a month that we're handing them. They'll take care of themselves, well, like we all did. So I never told, during my campaign, I never told sad, sobbing stories about me arriving with 1 suitcase or 2 suitcases, because we all did that. Either we did it or our ancestors did it. And we built a life here for ourselves, and we're very proud of that. Now, in regards to the older immigrants, I feel that certain immigrants should be given a chance, that provided they're not a public charge to our society, that they are, in fact, contributing to our society.
So let me ask you something. Do you think that the urge to deport migrants could go too far? Are you worried that it could end up getting people out of the country that don't deserve to be thrown out?
No, we'll have to put that trust in the DHS.
So, changing topics, how would your daughters describe you in 3 words? 3 words your daughters would use to describe you.
Daddy is great.
Okay. Play tour guide. If somebody was coming to your district, what are the places you think that there are must-see places, places you'd like to take them to in your district that you think are sort of evocative of the district you live in?
Right now, we have the famous Dyker Lights Christmas show going on in Dyker Heights.
And that's amazing, right?
Block after block, and my house included. I always decorate my house too.
What does your house look like?
My house looks beautiful. It's, I am Christian, so I decorate it with all kinds of lights, and I have a nativity scene in my bay window. It's green and blue and white.
And you're excited to do this every year? Absolutely,
and we have a big, beautiful Christmas tree in my cathedral window, and people are welcome to see it. Come to Bay Ridge Avenue, come to 12th Avenue, 13th Avenue, in Dyker Heights and Bensonhurst, and we'll show you what the neighborhood's all about.
Is there anything else you think that people should see?
Absolutely. There's 8th Avenue in my district, the new Chinatown. There's actually more Chinese and Asians in that area than Chinatown in Manhattan. It's estimated that we have about 200,000 Asian and Chinese people living in our district now.
So when you go out, what's your go-to order? What's your favorite food?
Boy, I tell you, growing up with a bunch of Chinese people and Italian kids and Eastern Europeans, and it's a fantastic neighborhood. Let's not leave out the Hispanics. And
so you like it all?
I love it all.
You want to eat all the food?
Yep.
And you want people to come and sample them as well?
Yes.
And on that note, before I gain any weight by actually inviting myself to go to those restaurants, thank you all for joining me, and thank you, Steve, for joining me
Thank you,
as
Marcia.
well.
Pleasure.